Operation Desert Storm, hour by hour.
Skies over Baghdad have been illuminated.
Word that Iraq has invaded neighboring state of Kuwait.
Today, America stops mulling over its options.
We seek the immediate withdrawal of all Iraqi forces from Kuwait.
At 1 a.m. on February 24th, 1991, the desert shifted from waiting to action. Over the next 100 hours, a ground war moved faster than anyone expected. What unfolded looked planned, yet hid mistakes that few noticed at the time. Before a single tank rolled forward, Iraq appeared powerful on paper. Its army ranked among the largest in the world, shaped by 8 years of hard fighting against Iran. Officers trusted their numbers, their experience, and the ground they occupied across Kuwait. The defensive layout looked solid and orderly. What later became known as the Saddam Line was not a single barrier, but a layered design. Minefields slowed any approach. Sand berms forced vehicles into narrow paths. Barbed wire and trenches waited beyond, built to trap attacking troops where fire could be concentrated. Armored units sat behind these obstacles, positioned to strike once an enemy stalled. Further back stood the Republican Guard. These units held a special place inside the Iraqi system. Loyalty to Saddam came first, followed closely by discipline and firepower. Their task was clear. Any breach at the front would meet a heavy response from these forces. Saddam believed this arrangement would shape the war in his favor. Western armies, in his view, lacked patience for high losses. A hard fight at the border would wear them down and force talks on his terms. The plan depended on fear and time. The flaw in that thinking was not visible yet. It would reveal itself only after the clock started moving. The morning changed the shape of the war. Around 7 a.m., helicopters began to arrive in waves, low and steady, filling the sky in every direction. This was the 101st Airborne moving at full scale. Instead of pushing through Iraqi defenses, they passed right over them and landed far inside Iraq. The plan was simple and dangerous at the same time. Cut Highway 8 and seal off the main route between Baghdad and the forces fighting in the south. Once that road was blocked, Iraqi units inside Kuwait would have no clear path home. Armored divisions followed behind the helicopters, rolling across open desert that offered almost nothing to guide them. Roads were scarce. Landmarks barely existed. Movement depended on early battlefield GPS units that gave commanders their position with a level of accuracy never used before in a ground war. Units that should have taken days to reach their targets arrived in hours. By the time the sun reached its highest point, coalition forces were already deeper inside Iraq than Saddam had planned for at any stage of the fight. The afternoon carried that momentum forward. Armored columns pressed on with little interference. Iraqi resistance appeared in pockets, then faded just as quickly. Confusion spread through defending units that had expected a slow, frontal assault. The desert itself caused more trouble than the enemy. Orientation became difficult, and commanders watched carefully to keep formations from drifting apart. Even with those limits, the advance did not slow. Supply units kept pace, delivering fuel, water, and ammunition in volumes that tested every part of the system. The speed surprised even the planners. That success raised a new concern. Several units were moving so fast that gaps opened between them. Senior commanders studied the map and made a decision that carried risk. The main armored attack would move forward ahead of schedule. Dawn on the second day marked the moment when defenses finally broke apart. At 5 a.m., coalition units struck across the length of the front. Some attacked straight through the Saddam line. Engineers cleared minefields under fire. Tanks and heavy equipment crushed berms and trenches to open passages. In certain areas, vehicles filled trenches completely rather than crossing them. Further south, Marine units faced the strongest defenses. Mine-clearing charges blasted lanes through the sand. Tanks moved forward in tight formation. Instead of meeting sustained fire, Marines encountered soldiers climbing out of trenches with scraps of cloth raised in surrender. Fatigue and hunger showed on their faces. Commanders had prepared for heavy resistance and long fights. What they received was an overwhelming number of prisoners. Nearly half the expected weekly total surrendered in a single day. That pace created another problem before midday. One formation fell behind schedule, leaving a dangerous opening between advancing forces. For several hours, exposed flanks worried commanders who expected a counterattack at any moment. None came. Iraqi units lacked fuel, coordination, and air cover. Once the delayed formation resumed movement, the line closed and the advance continued. Near the oil fields, Iraqi commanders tried to regain control with local attacks. Smoke from burning wells mixed with fog and reduced visibility across wide areas. Iraqi tanks pushed closer than before. For the first time in the ground war, they reached short range. The response came fast. Coalition firepower arrived from every direction. Tank rounds, missiles, helicopters, and artillery struck in quick succession. Thermal sights allowed crews to identify targets through smoke and darkness. Iraqi vehicles appeared on screens long before their crews understood what faced them. Within hours, dozens of vehicles burned or lay abandoned. Survivors withdrew into the smoke. That night brought Iraq's most damaging strike of the war. A missile hit a coalition base, killing dozens of soldiers. The loss was heavy, but the course of the ground campaign did not change. The outcome was already taking shape. The third day revealed the cost of retreat. Iraqi leadership ordered forces to withdraw north. Columns of vehicles crowded the roads toward Iraq. Aircraft attacked throughout the day. Wrecked armor and empty trucks lined the highways. By evening, Marines reached high ground overlooking Kuwait City. From there, they watched the movement below as fire lit the roads. Images from this area soon spread across the world. Victory remained clear, but the scenes unsettled many who saw them. Fighting in the West followed a different pattern. Elite Iraqi units chose to stand and fight. Dust storms swept through the area as armored forces collided. Visibility dropped sharply, yet thermal sights kept coalition units effective. Screening forces faced larger formations and held their ground while calling in artillery and air support. What began as scattered clashes grew into the largest tank battle of the war. When morning came, hundreds of Iraqi vehicles lay across the desert floor. The Republican Guard had taken serious losses. The final hours arrived quickly. Coalition units cut the last major roads. Arab forces entered Kuwait City. From a military view, the campaign had reached its goal. Politics soon entered the picture. Television screens filled with images of destroyed vehicles and bodies. Public reaction shifted. Leaders worried that the mission might appear to go beyond liberation. At 8 a.m. on February 28th, a ceasefire took effect. The clock stopped. Just over 4 days after it began, Kuwait stood free. Coalition losses remained low compared to Iraqi casualties. Thousands of tanks were destroyed. Entire divisions no longer existed. Still, the Republican Guard survived in part, and Saddam remained in power. Unrest followed, and questions lingered. Operation Desert Storm showed how speed, preparation, and technology could end a war in days. It also showed that ending a battle does not always settle what comes after. If you want to follow what unfolded next, stay with the series, and we will continue the story in the next